just try, fail, try different things, learn your strengths, try to hone your skills, try to learn about things that are happening in the industry, try to, stay relevant, don't be afraid of change. Take risk when you feel like it, calculated risks, but take risks, because those are the kind of things that make you feel like you're growing as an individual. My name is Saade. I am Lebanese of origin, grew up in Beirut, Lebanon, and I left when I was 22. Moved to Paris for master's degree at ESSEC. I did the Programme Grande École. I think I enrolled in 2010. And before that, I had an undergraduate degree in business administration from the American University of Beirut. And I actually went to a French school in Lebanon called the Grand Lycée Franco-Libanais. I currently live in Barcelona, in Spain. We moved here about a year ago. I spent 8 years in Dublin, Ireland. And then before that, I was for 3 years in Paris. I always wanted to work in video games, but when I was growing up and as a teenager in the 2000s, it wasn't really a thing that you did. My parents were always like, lawyer, engineer, doctor, those were kind of the standard options. I think a lot of people will relate to that. And at the time I wanted to become a video game developer, which was, so out of this world. I ended up going into business because kind of a compromise, and then eventually made my way into the gaming industry. I was part of a couple of associations. I was part of ESSEC Liban. Kind of comes with the territory, and I didn't do any share, but in retrospect, this is something that I wish I had done a little bit more of. One of the biggest lessons I learned out of the world of work and business is that contacts will get you pretty much anywhere you want. Like every single job that I've landed in my career has been through a contact. And I think it's incredibly important to develop those contacts at a time where pretty much everyone is on neutral ground, everybody's looking for a job, everybody is learning how to navigate the world of business. And I think the more different associations you work in or interact with, the more people you hang out with, the more diverse classes that you take, the more exposure you'll get to developing that kind of network. So I did one internship in agencies at Publicis Consultant. And then I did another internship in Gameloft, which is a mobile gaming company in marketing. And the contrast between the two is very clear to me. Prior to that, I'd done an internship in human resources also. And so the kind of pattern that I adopted was to try as many things that I thought I liked or I thought I was interested in, and then find out if I was actually good at it and if I was interested in it practically doing the things that are required at work. So ESSEC was very helpful for me to kind of get through that trial and error process. I was looking for a full-time job. That was back in 2013. As a Lebanese citizen, unfortunately at the time, the conditions for finding a CDI were not very conducive, let's say. And so I started looking, for a variety of different jobs. I got a bunch of CDD and, different roles, internships. However, I also started to expand my scope a little bit more, and I looked at roles outside of France, even though I actually wanted to live in France. I was determined to live in France. I had friends there, family, I spoke the language, loved the culture, everything, but it just wasn't meant to be. And at the time, I had a friend who had moved to Dublin, Ireland to work at Google. And he said, would you be interested in a job at Google? There's this, Arabic speaking role. I speak Arabic because I'm from Lebanon. That might be good for you. And so he referred me. And that's what I mentioned earlier, contacts being such a critical part of, just pointing you towards an opportunity and maybe giving you that slight nudge that you need at the beginning. And that's precisely what happened. So I interviewed for the job. It was a job in advertising specialized for the Middle Eastern markets, Arabic speaking, and I moved to Dublin. So the role is a sales role. So specifically what I did is basically I would be responsible for managing a portfolio of businesses that were advertising or learning to advertise on Google AdWords. So I'd have a target of companies that I would need to call on a regular basis, try to get them to adopt Google products, teach them how to get better at general kind of internet literacy sometimes. These were businesses from all industries, from multiple countries in the Middle East. I speak Arabic, but I have Lebanese dialect. Sometimes I spoke to Egyptian people, Tunisians, Moroccans, Saudis, and they're very, very different dialects. So it was a very cool experience to kind of learn how to interact with different cultures. And that's in a nutshell, that's kind of what the job is about, right? It's you need to secure a certain number of clients that adopt the things that you tell them to or advise them to, and then ultimately make sure that this is generating enough revenue for the company. It's kind of built almost in a game-like system. And this is, the role was called Small and Medium Business Sales Associate. So that was kind of an entry-level role at Google, very common if you're in, applying for a role out of university and you speak a language that isn't English. So if you speak French, Italian, Spanish, whatever, there will be teams dedicated to each of these different markets, and each will be interacting with clients in their native language. So I stayed in Dublin. Facebook was fantastic, honestly, some of the best years of my life. So at Google, I was working on the Arab, kind of Middle Eastern market, but I wasn't specialized in any industry. The role at Facebook was actually specialized in gaming. So gaming, which has been, has always been one of my lifelong passions, it's not a very easy industry to get in, and it's certainly not, there's a lot of industries that are similar to it, like luxury, where they play a lot on the glamour aspect of things, where it's hey, you're working in something you love, so we're going to pay you peanuts. Whereas at Facebook, the great thing about it was that it was well paid, it was very formative, very fast moving, and it was working in gaming, which is one of Facebook's most important verticals. So I started as a client solutions manager, which was very similar to my role at Google, which was also helping clients, adopt Facebook's advertising products and get better at using the Facebook advertising platform. And little by little over the years, I started to kind of climb through the corporate ladder, taking on more responsibilities, changing roles. I took on an account executive or a client partner role, as it's called at Facebook. I left in 2021. So over the course of these 6.5 years, I had 3 different roles. All of them were on the gaming team, global gaming team. And we operated out of the Dublin office, and we worked with gaming clients across all of the EMEA region, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So the difference with my previous role is that it was no longer language specific, it was focused on gaming regardless of language. And in my last role that I took on in 2020, I was the industry manager for the largest mobile gaming clients in the EMEA region. So I led a team of 8 people, and we had a pretty considerable revenue target and revenue contribution for the company. The role changed drastically from client solutions manager to client partners. Initially, I was more focused on helping clients adopt Facebook products, learn the product, learn how to advertise on the platform. Then it became a lot more about relationship management, business development, revenue forecasting, and just building strategy a lot more. And then at the end, it was about people management, kind of influencing stakeholders around us, cementing the Facebook gaming brand among our clients, liaising and networking with C-level executives and gaming companies. So I went from being a person interested in gaming to interacting with some of the leaders in the industry, going to events like E3, which was one of my childhood dreams. I used to read about it in magazines. It was pre-internet pre-internet democratization in Lebanon. And it was fantastic, honestly. It was a dream come true. I had a really good time at Facebook. I think it's a fantastic company, Meta as it's called now. I met great friends. I made excellent contacts. I'm still friends with a lot of these people. And the skills that I learned in that environment are basically what got me to land my latest job now. 2021, smack in the middle of the pandemic. We were in Dublin. My fiance and I came and spent 3 months here in Barcelona, actually as part of a remote work arrangement that Facebook had at the time. And it kind of occurred to me that we needed a bit of a change of scenery in life. I at the time had been in Ireland for 7 years. I had become an Irish citizen. I absolutely love the country. I have a lot of love for Irish people. I made a lot of friends, but it was also a time where the dynamics of work as we know it were changing. Remote work was becoming a reality, a possibility at least. The startup life is something that I had not done at that point, and frankly I was scared of it. But my fiance and I thought about it, and we're like, well, is there a better time in life for us to take on that kind of risk? We have a good CV, we have good contacts, we're able to move across in Europe because we're both European citizens. And there were, I think there was an emergence of companies at that time that was very exciting, that seemed to move at such a rapid pace that I couldn't even see that at Facebook, that I thought was fast. And so I kind of, again, through my network, spoke to some friends of mine, and they pointed me towards a few companies that seemed really cool. And I was introduced to people, and that's when I met my current boss, the CEO of Metal.tv, which is the company that I currently work at, back in March 2021. And they were looking at the time for a head of growth, and they hadn't even written the job description. It was, just thinking they might need that role. And then I kind of presented myself as someone who could do that role. They were also looking for a person who understood how organizations grew over time, and what organizations would look like when they got really big, like Facebook, right? So the ability to build an organization, build processes, network externally, have a strong brand name. So all these things that I had acquired through my time at Facebook really played in my favor. And so I decided at the time that we would leave Dublin, leave Facebook, try something completely new. It was scary, it was a risk, definitely. And startup life is certainly ups and downs, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the most formative experiences you can have in the world of business, right? Like, having been in a big tech company, complementing that with a startup experience is it prepares you for pretty much anything you can deal with in the world of business. So I joined as VP of growth initially, and then I was responsible for marketing, user growth, and then 6 months into the job, I was given the opportunity to take on more responsibility and become the company's chief commercial officer, where I now am also in charge of our monetization, which is our subscription model, advertising, our marketing, our partnerships, including working with companies like Microsoft and Discord, and social media and QA and so the cool thing about startups is that you literally can wear any hat almost at any time, and I think that is also there's no day where you can expect it to be the same as the previous, right? Like the novelty in it is a constant. The only constant is that it's changed. Basically, it's going to be changing every day. So that's really cool. It's exciting. It's a full remote company. Everybody's based all over the world. We have a few people here in Barcelona. We're thinking about opening an office here. So yeah, like in these past year and a half, we've seen a huge change from working in an office with people around you to working remotely, globally, from big tech to a startup. And the advice I would give people is, if you have this kind of itch inside of you telling you, well, what if I could do this or do that, just try it, honestly. Like, I'm very happy I made this change. I thought I wouldn't be, honestly. I thought big tech was my thing, Facebook was my thing. And then eventually you adapt and you find that you actually enjoy things you didn't know you would enjoy. And that's precisely what happened to me with this experience. And I'm very happy, especially that I get to live in a city like Barcelona. Try to do as many things as you can. There's zero risk in doing an internship in a field that you, first of all, one that you think you're interested in, and one that you may not be that interested in, but you might actually realize that you are. Try to figure out what you're good at, what are your strengths. Always play to your strengths. Always play to your strengths. You should know what your weaknesses are. You should try to improve and grow and get better at them, but you'll always be better when you build on your strengths. That's something that I've learned. I was never good at math at school, right? So doing data analysis and things like that, I had to do it to a degree, but I was always much better at like building relationships with people. And so I kind of oriented myself towards roles that relied on that. And I think that's kind of the trial and error and growth trajectory that you'll have by doing, right? You have to fail, you have to be told that you're actually not good at some things, that you can realize what is it that you're good at, and kind of move towards that direction. So that is extremely important. Don't think you know what you want when you're in your 20s, especially in like your early 20s. You don't have a clue what you want. Honestly, you think you know what you want, but you don't. So whatever anxiety you might have about not knowing what lies ahead, or thinking that you don't have the right answers, that's perfectly normal. Like I went from working in HR to agencies to marketing to tech, and all of that put together made me, go down the path that I'm on today, right? And it wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't explored these different options, and I certainly had no idea what I wanted to do at the time. So don't put pressure on yourself. It's perfectly normal. Get out there, try to do stuff that you like, learn about your skills, learn about your strengths, network, spend time with people, get to know who are the people that you vibe with, the people that know what they're doing, that understand their industries, that can get you into an industry, that are reliable people that you could depend on and that can depend on you, right? It's a mutual relationship. Learn to build those as early as your university years, because that's where you make a lot of lifelong friendships and network. I think there's research that was done recently around the number of times you'll have to reinvent yourself in your career, and I think our generation will have to do that 5 times in our career versus our parents' generation that had to do it maybe once or twice. So don't be afraid to go down a different path if you feel that your role and the industry you're in is starting to become obsolete. We've seen the emergence in the last few years of things like blockchain and Web3 and remote work, right? That opens up opportunities, and keep your eyes open. Try to familiarize yourself with the things that are happening around you. Don't think that just because you're in a good job today that there won't be better opportunities tomorrow. And make sure that you're keeping yourself relevant in the process by pushing yourself outside of the comfort zone, because that's typically the kind of behavior that will get you, into the next best opportunity. Try to enjoy your time. These are very, very unique years, super cool opportunity to, do a lot of different things, to work, learn, party, go out with people, spend time. Go and talk to people who are not from your background, learn about their culture. Go talk to the internationals. They have really cool backgrounds, so many cultural experiences that, they can open you up to. Make friends. Those are people who will be tomorrow's CEOs and entrepreneurs, and will help open up doors for you. Like everything else that we said earlier, just try, fail, try different things, learn your strengths, try to hone your skills, try to learn about things that are happening in the industry, try to, stay relevant, don't be afraid of change, take risk when you feel like it, calculated risks, but take risks, because those are the kind of things that make you feel like you're growing as an individual. Try to find out what is it that makes you happy. If stability is something you value above anything else, then prioritize stability, right? There's no right answer. It's just how you feel as an individual, the things that bring you happiness and contentment and stability in life. Try to prioritize that, and then find a work environment and a team that does that for you.